What up, people? What up, people? It's John Wins, all about the biz. You know what it is. And we are live. We are live Wednesday night. It's the EPG Biz Talk, a session we like to call Behind the Brand, right? So it's going to be a weekly session. We're going to be talking to entrepreneurs in the GTA and the Toronto area, and we're going to be finding out a little bit more on the personal side about why they started their business, how they do it, and a bunch more information. But before we begin, I think we should talk about what exactly is a brand, right? So we always hear people talking about branding this. We always hear people talking about branding that. So I just want to give a quick definition of what branding is. So the first thing we have to remember is that when it comes to branding, branding is not just a logo. Branding is not just your name. A brand is part of your trademark. It's not just your trademark. It's not a symbol. It's not a jingle. A brand is part of you. It's part of your business. So to understand what a brand is, you must first understand that your brand it doesn't exist in your marketing department. It doesn't exist in your CEO's office. It doesn't exist with your public relations team. It doesn't exist anywhere else. A brand only exists in the minds of your customers. So we have to remember, simply put, that a brand is pretty much the sum total of all the impressions that a customer has based on the interactions that they have with you. So for example, if a customer, like I said, based on the interactions they have with you or your products. So each time these interactions tells a story to your customers. So if your customer believes that your product is new and innovative, then these attributes become part of your brand. In the customer's mind, if your packaging is beautifully illustrated, then they may view your brand as sophisticated or elite. On the other hand, if your service is poor, then customers may reflect that to your brand and may think that your brand is stubborn or rude. And when it comes to printing, if your print materials look like they were designed in Microsoft Word, then to customers, you may look cheap and amateur. So to manage your brand, you always want to decide on your brand image. Sometimes that brand image reflects the entrepreneur as the person, but sometimes it has nothing to do with how the person is and just has to do with how they want their business to be seen out there. So again, you want to make sure that all these interactions that you have with your customers are aimed towards that brand. That will flow through your print materials, that will flow through your website, your phone calls, your social media posts, also your printing. You always want to make sure that everything you're doing when it comes to your business relates to your brand and to the image that you're trying to convey. Why is that important? Because branding is important. Why is branding important? Because customers make purchasing decisions based on the brand that they see, the brand that you put out there, and pretty much based on those type of things. So with that being said, I gave you guys a nice quick definition of branding. We're going to throw all that out the window today because we're going to take a look behind the brand. We're going to talk to entrepreneurs, and we're going to find out a little bit more about behind the scenes access to their business and why they started their business. So with that being said, we have two special guests that we would like to talk to today. I'm going to show you guys on this little ad here. Our first guest is going to be Sabrina Robinson, representing for Eva Michelle and Family Publishing. And then later on, we will have Alexis Lee joining in. So I'm not going to talk too much about the guest because I want to save all the information and I want to save all the great questions for the guest when they come on the show. So I'm going to take a second, and the first guest I would like to bring on is Sabrina Robinson. Sabrina, can you hear me? I had your mic on mute, but you're good now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you great. I can hear you great.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. You know, just wrapping up the day. It's a long day ahead, but we're here, you know, all about the business.
So first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
I know I've spoken to you in person a couple different times, found out about your business and your brand, kind of why you started it. But I think it's very important, especially nowadays, for entrepreneurs to share their stories with the public. Let people know a little bit more about the business and the brand so that it can also help motivate people to do the same thing. A lot of people have ideas to start businesses, ideas to do things, but they're nervous. They don't know where to start. And before we actually begin, I actually was at an event the other day, yesterday, last night, and a lady came up to me and told me that she has a job right now, but she wants to get into, well, not get into, she does editing and publishing, and she's trying to figure out how to make that next step, how to make that jump, how to monetize it, because she said she does a lot of work for people right now, here and there, but most of the work she does is for free, just offering her services and things like that. And you ran through my mind right away because I let her know I met a lady that just started her business in March of 2023, doing the same type of things you're doing. So I told her that I'm going to put her in touch with you. So maybe you can give her some good advice, give her some tips and tricks on how to make that step, make that leap into monetizing your natural skills and abilities. So I'm going to make that connection. So look out for that.
For sure. Always happy to share the wisdom,
All right. So like I said, we're going behind the brand. We're going to be talking to different entrepreneurs. Now, if you've seen the ads, we're going with the W5H format. For those who don't know what that is, we're going to be asking some basic questions: the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's, and the how's behind these brands. So let's get started at the basics. Who is Cabrina Robinson?
Ooh, who is Cabrina? Well, at the core, Cabrina is a mother, and I say that first because that's basically the driving force behind everything that I am currently doing. Professionally, I am a writer, freelance journalist, and a creative by all rights. Um, so yeah, so basically I'm also, well, the founder and CEO of Eva Michelle and Family Publishing, which is a publishing company that aims at assisting independent authors to just like get their ideas off the ground, get their books out there into the world. So we basically help them along the process of publishing and just like everything they need to know, like guide them throughout the process and just help to bring their dreams to reality. So basically that's the main thing that I've been, focusing most of my time towards now. I am still a journalist. I still do writing. I'm also an author. So yeah, many things. Oh, your mic is off.
Thank you. All right, so that's very interesting. We got to know a little bit about who Cabrina Robinson is. So, what made you start this business?
For
I know you touched
sure.
on it a little bit, but what made you start this business?
It was just being inspired. And as I said before, I'm an author. So I started the journey of, getting my books published in March. And the whole process for me was such a learning experience. I had the idea and I wanted to get it off the ground. I did not know how to. Like, it was the first time that I've ever published a book. It was my very first book and I had no clue how to go about it. So I did my research, I found out the different platforms, the different means that, you can get your books published. And during that process, I found the self-publishing route, which is, as the name suggests, it's the more independent method that you can go through and get your books published through the many platforms that are available and accessible for authors online. So I chose that route because, as I said, I wanted to get my idea off the ground. I wanted to do it on my own time, and I also wanted to be completely responsible for the creative aspects of my project to just like make it representative of like what I wanted to put out there. So I went about and I published my book on my own for the first time, did all the research, trial and error, like all of that. And then throughout the process, I applied everything that I knew from my journalist background and my background in writing and working in media, copy editing, and all of that. And throughout the process, I found that, there are a lot of things that people just like me, a lot of people might be in the same situation that I was in, where they have this idea, but they don't know how to go about it. They don't know how to like get started. And there's so much information that's like accessible online, but where do you start? Because there's so much to read upon, so many videos to watch, and it gets confusing. And it helps when you have like someone to guide you. Like for me, I didn't have much guidance, but I did the work. I did the research, I did all the trial and error, as I said. And I was just like thinking about it, and I was really inspired by just how I was able to take my idea off the ground and manifest it, see it come to life on my own, and do all the research. And I'm like, I can do this to help other people. So Eva Michelle and Family Publishing was mostly founded on just my idea and my need and feeling that purpose to not only, doing my own books and getting my work out there, but to also apply the knowledge and the skills that I have working in my field and the knowledge that I learned from my research to just like apply that and help other people. And it really started as something, just taking a chance on myself. I wasn't sure how far it was going to go, how successful it would be, how many clients I would get, where the clients would come from in the first place. But I knew that I was starting this company with, positive intentions and just not necessarily from a need of wanting, seeing an opportunity to make fast money or to make money from it, but more so to use what I know to fulfill a purpose, to help other people out there who might be in a similar situation as me, and to be very genuine about it. And, because an experience that I had when I started my company was that I went about and I found different companies to work with. And I found that a lot of them, were disingenuous in some nature, because there are services that they offer. And, for a lot of us authors, we're just starting out. We might not have that much of a budget. And when we don't know where to start, we just want to get the idea off the ground. So we're willing to pay like any amount of money. And sometimes, it's a lot. It's a lot. A lot of these companies charge a lot, and you find that a lot of times, a lot of authors will walk away feeling like they pay this amount of money and they didn't see the value for their money, or they feel like they were, taken advantage of. So that's also one thing that I wanted to contribute to in a very positive way, to help people in a way that it doesn't feel like I'm trying to take from you, but more so to assist you along that process. So that was very important for me. And with every client that I have, like one thing that, they will tell you is that, Karine has been very helpful. And the first thing that I always present to them is just, this is your book, this is your idea, and I want you to be completely involved in it. I am literally just here to assist and assist alone. I'm here, for anything once you need me. And yes, it's just, as I said, started from just my need to fulfill a purpose, to help other people, to bring their ideas to life. And I'm just so grateful how far the business has gotten, and just how, successful, well, in my, own viewpoint, based on like where I started and where I am now, how successful it has been so far over the course of only a couple months. So yeah, that's how it started.
All right. So you mentioned, you have to figure out where to start and where to go and get information. So I'm gonna move on to the where. So I want to ask you, where was your first source of information when you said, all right, I'm gonna start this? Did you go to somebody? Did you go online? Where did you get that first important piece of information, whatever it was?
Yeah. Funny story. Just as I said, I when I was about to publish my book, I seeked out all the information I could find. So I got in contact with some publishers out there, traditional publishers, self-published, just other companies that are similar to mine. And I actually got in contact with this company that they were interested in my book idea and they wanted to publish it. And they were basically, giving me the rundown of how the whole publishing company works. I won't, call the name, but they were just like giving me the whole rundown of, this is how it works. We take your manuscript, we edit it, we, do the illustrations, we send it to printers to get it printed. So during that consultation, I was there and I was taking in all the information, and I'm like, this is something that I could actually do because, from I said, I had my background in journalism and I've done copy editing for a while. So this was something that wasn't foreign to me. So I knew all about this, and it was something that, I knew that I could do. So during that process, taking in all this information, I got the idea. This is something that I can do on my own. So that's when I decided to self-publish my own book. So taking all the knowledge that I got from that consultation, I went ahead, did my research, went on YouTube, Google. There are a lot of platforms online that are available for self-published authors, especially on YouTube. You'll find a lot of creatives who basically just upload videos explaining the whole process of self-publishing. If you decide to publish on places like KDP, there are lots of like information on there that basically provides the whole format and layout of how to get your book published and all of that. So those are very helpful tools in helping me to get started. As it pertains to starting my own company, honestly, I tell you, it was all a learn as you go process because as I said, I had the background in journalism and writing and copy editing, but I had no idea how to start a self-publishing company. I've never worked in publishing. I've always been an avid reader. I've always been, really into books, but I've never, known much about the publishing aspect of it, like the creation of a book, getting it out there, the marketing aspect. So all of that was very new to me. So that was something that I had to learn as I go. As I said, Google and YouTube are my best friends. And I find that a lot of times when we want to get things started, we think that, we have to go and take these like courses and stuff. And, those things can be beneficial, don't get me wrong, but there's so much information that's accessible to us in this day and age that's readily available online. And there's, infinite amount of information that's accessible to us. And I feel like once we just like utilize those tools and go out there and do the research, put in the work, because obviously if you want to do something and you want it as bad as, to see it come to fruition, you'll do the work and you'll go out there and you'll do all the research. So whatever, I can't think of anything that isn't readily available to anyone online. So yeah, as I said, Google was my best friend, and it was, even to this day, I'm still learning as I go because a lot of things are still new to me in terms of like design, marketing. A lot of those, it's like I'm learning as I go. So yeah.
Well, I would definitely have to agree with you there. And just to go back to the story that I was telling you earlier about the young lady I met, she actually came up to me and was talking to me because I was telling a story how I started to do I was doing graphic design from before, like at a certain point, and I said, you know what, let me go to Durham College and take a course in this to get myself, a little bit more accredited and get myself, over the hump, right? So I started doing the course. I was in there for like 2-3 weeks, but everything that they were doing in the course, I knew already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like sitting, so I actually couldn't take it anymore because it's just repetitive. Assignments that they were asking me for, I was just taking old work that I did already and sending it in, right? So I ended up talking to the professor and saying, like, I know all this already. Is there any way I could just jump to year 2 of the course? Because I think that's where I am. You know what I mean? She was like, oh, you can do that, but technically you won't be able to get the credit for either one because you have to technically finish this one before you go to the second one, right? So I said, no problem. All I really want is the information. So I went in ahead and did that and went through the second course, got all the knowledge. So after I told the story, the young lady came up to me yesterday and was asking, so you were telling me that you didn't bother getting the certification, and she was wondering, did that hinder you? Did that hurt you in getting jobs and getting, making it seem like you were out there more? And I said to her, it didn't stop me then, and especially nowadays, people aren't really looking out there for that formal education. They're not really looking to see if you went to college for 4 or 5 years to study your craft. Not saying it doesn't help, but just like you mentioned, most people are going to YouTube University nowadays. Most people are taking online courses. Most people are using actually real life experiences to kind of get them where they need to go. So I just wanted to kind of co-sign what you were saying, that especially nowadays, because the information is so readily available and accessible, not everybody's looking for that formal side of education. So definitely agree with you there. So I'm going to ask you another question. When did you realize, okay, and this could be in the planning stages, it could be during, your first couple sales or anytime after, when did you realize you had something good going on?
I think it was after I published my first book, the first client that I had, because as I said, I started the company not knowing where it would go. Like I didn't know where the clients would come from. The first book I published was my own book, and I started the company with that. Like I started it saying, look, I'm starting a publishing company. I published my book. I'm open for manuscripts. I'm open for, clients, new clients. And I just like put it out there. I made my logo, made my website, made everything look official. And, I just like put it out there in the universe and just waited patiently. And I had my first client a couple months after, no, not a couple months after, like literally 1 month after I started the company and I put my book out there and I was like out there promoting. A client came to me and she was like, I had this book idea, I've had it for a while and I just want to like get it started. I see you did your book and I'm so proud of you and I trust you, I trust your expertise and yeah, I want you to bring my book to life. And I was like, okay, no, it's happening, like I started this company and this is what I wanted and now it's happening. And now I feel like this is my first project. So now I have something to prove, not just to like other people or just my client, but also to myself, to prove to myself that, this is something that you started. Let's see how well you can do it and how well you're going to put your talents and your skills to this to make it into something much bigger. So I got started on that first project and I literally put my all into it. I was just adamant on making it just perfect in every way and ensuring that not just my client was pleased, but I was pleased with the work that I was giving my clients and the services that I was providing. So after that, I did that first book and it was, amazing. Clients loved it. She got like a lot of great feedback from it. She got, good amount of sales from it. And she's still, out there promoting her book and getting sales from it. And just kind of like even her gratitude towards like seeing her physical book come to life and holding it in her hands for the first time. I remember her sending me a voice message after she received her book for the first time, and she was literally crying. And I could relate to that because that's exactly how I felt when I published my first book and I held it in my hands for the first time. I was like, wow, this is something that I did. I put this together. I created this. This came from up here and now it's here in physical form. So just hearing that and feeling that energy and just seeing that through doing something that I love and doing something that I'm using my skills and my knowledge and my talents towards creating something, not just for myself, but for other people, I'm actually making an impact by helping people to, bring their dreams to reality and, just get their ideas off the ground, like things that they might not be able to do, like I'm assisting them in that process. So I feel like right then and there, I knew that it was something that I wanted to do, not just because it was a way to make money and it was, feasible for me and, it's a way to put myself out there, but also because I felt like it filled me with purpose just by seeing the reaction that I got from my clients and even up to today. Every time I'm done with a book and I publish it and the client receives the book and sees it and just the feedback, it always just fills me with purpose. And I feel like that's the most rewarding part of this company for me.
All right. So my next question was gonna be why do you do it? But I think you kind of touched on that, right? So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
ask you another why question. Now, say if there's a young entrepreneur out there that's thinking of starting their business, or they're thinking of becoming a publisher or an author, why should they do it?
Why? I
Mm-hmm.
think the number one why always goes back to self. Because if you have an idea and you have this burning desire to see it come to fruition, and even if it's just an idea, you don't know how, just like me, you don't know how it's gonna get started, you don't know how far it's gonna go, but you just have that inkling to like start something. That alone is your why. Because anybody can get ideas. Ideas come to us all the time. They come and go. But it's only matters like how are you gonna act on that idea? What are you gonna do about that idea? Are you just gonna let it, you sit with the idea, let it pass by, or are you gonna act on it? And I feel like the number one why always comes back to, are you doing this for yourself or are you doing this for other people? And it always goes back to self, because at the end of the day, you're doing something for yourself. You're proving to yourself that you're capable. You have like abilities and skills that are worthy of putting out there for others to see. And yeah, I would say that's the number one why. Like, a matter of like serving self. It always comes back to serving self. And of course, when we begin to like do things that are self-serving and, you know, fills us with purpose and joy, we'll see that kind of like light that we get from it kind of emitting out into the world and slowly impacting other people. So in a sense, when we do things for ourselves, we do it for other people too, especially when we do it with positive intentions. It always goes back to like creating a positive impact. So it's always a ripple effect. We do something positive for ourselves, and in return that positivity is shared outwards to the rest of the world.
Well, again, I'll definitely co-sign with that, because at the event yesterday, another one of the entrepreneurs said one of the most important things to when you're trying to create your brand and create your business is to find something that you're naturally good at and that you believe in, and nurture that and use that to kind of flourish your business. So I think that works along with what you said, because if you're doing something that you love and you're doing something that's true to you, then it's going to reflect out there, and people are going to see that genuinosity, if that's a word, you know what I mean? They're going to see the realness. They're going to see, okay, well, she's real with what she's doing. She cares about what she's doing. So let me at least pay attention and, take a look and see how it can help that person as well. So I know you have a little daughter, because you've been to the events, and I see her running around being very active. Even when you're talking, she's very attentive. So what I want to know is how is it being an entrepreneur, a mother? How do you manage your work life and your staying home life? Because I can only imagine that being an editor and a publisher, you need to have a
Mhm.
certain amount of focus time, by yourself time, Cabrina time. So how do you manage the work life and the entrepreneur life and the mom life?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the whole idea of the why also, because we all have our different whys. Why the people in our life that inspire us to do things, and the reasons behind why we push on and keep doing things that you know keep us going. And for me personally, one of the major whys in my life is my daughter, and I think that's very telling because her name is Eva Michelle. She's the namesake of the company, Eva Michelle and Family Publishing. And I feel like that the balance when it comes to, navigating, a business on my own and also being a full-time mom is just creating a balance where I know that the two aren't separate. I'm doing this for her. Like this is something that I started by being inspired by her love for books and storytelling, and I was able to like take that inspiration that I got from her and turn it into something that in return is creating a legacy for her. So that was very important for me. So every day it's very important for me when I get up and I open my laptop and I go into my email, it's just Eva Michelle and Family Publishing. Like I'm constantly reminded of her because her name is there, and she's there. So for me, it's just knowing that, as I said, the two aren't separate. The business, family life, and that is why I'm big on calling my company a family company because it was started on the whole idea of family, being inspired by my daughter and my family who, constantly push me towards like doing things that they know that I'm capable of. And yeah, I'm just like inspired every day. And for me, that naturally creates like a balance, like a work life flow balance for me all the time. So for sure, I would say that it goes back to the why. Always goes back to the why, and the why for me is my little girl there.
Well, I love that. I love when the whys include family. And I find a lot of the whys when you're talking to entrepreneurs, it comes out of a personal experience. You're doing it for your
Yeah.
family, you're doing it for your kids, you're doing it for the future. So these are all good things. Now what's up next for Cabrina Robinson or Eva and Family Publishing? What do you have going on next? Any events coming up, anything like that you want the masses to know about?
Well, in general, when you speak about what's going on next, growth, always growth and prosperity for me, always. But coming up in terms of events, I do have the Black Book Fair, which is an organization, well, a collective that's basically a group of Black Canadian authors, coming together to unite and put our work out there into the world together. And they're having their second Black Book Fair Chapter 2. That will be on October 21st. So I'll be there along with Eva Michelle and Family Publishing. A lot of other events coming up for the holiday season. If holiday season coming up, everything's busy. It's all about shopping and putting yourself out there. A lot of markets going on. A lot that I can't name right now, but definitely if you want to stay on track with where we'll be, what I'll be doing, be sure to follow me on socials at Cabrina the Writer. I keep you updated all the time on just like what's the next step, what's the next event, what the next release is, like everything that you need to know. So, yes.
All right, so let me ask you one more quick question because I always tell this story about how important it is to kind of put yourself out there and to network and to go out there and meet new people. So I remember you came to the book fair at the end of May earlier this year. Everything went fine, and I remember a couple months later, I was scrolling through your Instagram, and then I seen you working with two people that were at the book fair, and then I asked her, I said, "Hey, Cabrina, did you meet these people at the book fair in May?" And then you said yes. So when I heard that made me very happy as well, because again, it's all about the power of networking. And I love when I could actually show people real life examples of why it's important to put yourself out there. So can you just touch on that before we close off and just let people know why networking is important and making that actual step to put yourself out there?
For sure. And before I head into that, like I definitely want to give you a shout out and just like show my gratitude towards like just your work and how you constantly, make efforts to create platform and spaces for us to be able to network. Because it's one thing to like go out there and network, but there has to be facilitators to enable that. So
Well,
I definitely want to show my gratitude towards and just like encourage you to keep doing what you're doing and keep doing the good work. So, but yeah, for sure. I feel like since I started my company, the number one thing that has propelled me forward is networking, for sure. And that's why I love going out to events, markets, fairs, because I'm able to not just like interact and kind of meet new clients, but I'm just able to meet people that inspire me. I feel like every time I go to a different market, I meet someone. If it's not that I got a sale or a client or a new client or a book sale, like just interacting with that person, created some form of inspiration in me that helped me to do something else, or I was able to apply that inspiration on something else, whether it was towards a new book idea or a way to improve my brand and my business. But that's why I feel like it's very important to just like go out there and be inspired, because I feel like as a creative, inspiration comes from everywhere. Like you can literally walk outside your door and you see something and it inspires you. So when you go to these events and you're around like like-minded people who are, out there creating their own businesses, uh, promoting themselves, networking, you're around people that you should be around because those are the people that will, give you the knowledge, whether it is knowledge that they know about the business, they might have been doing it longer than you have. They might be able to impart certain knowledge on you and help you to go forward, or you might be able to inspire someone else. Because I'll say this, like at the last event that we were at, I was actually speaking to another one of the vendors, and she was also saying that she had an idea of starting her own publishing company. And I was actually able to inspire her and give her tips and, help her to go forward and motivate her to get started. I mean, one thing with me is that I always want to see other people succeed. It doesn't matter if we're in the same field, there's enough space and room for all of us to thrive. So definitely when you go to these events, it's either you're going to be inspired or you might be able to inspire someone. So that's why it's so important, not just for your brand also, but for your individual growth. So that's one major thing that I would say. If you have a business, networking. You can never network enough. Like go out there, shut off everybody ears, like make sure your business is everywhere. Like, when people see your business, they're like, oh, I know that because I've heard it so many times, I've seen it so many times, and that's one of the major effects of networking that you can get out of networking. So for sure, very important, very vital.
Well, I'm definitely going to agree with that as well because, as you know, I'm out at different events. I'm out anytime there's an event, I'm out networking, promoting my business, making sure everybody sees the name and remembers the EPG, the red and black. So I definitely agree with you there. We have a quick question from Scully Mellow Vibes. He tuned in late, so he was asking about the Black Book Fair. I don't know if the location is released, but if it is released, can you let them know where it is or where they could get the information?
Yes. Let me see. So yeah, I don't have it readily available now, and I don't want to give out the wrong location. But if you search for Black Book Fair on social media on Instagram, you'll be able to see like flyers because they've been promoting a lot. They just started putting out all the vendors that will be there in attendance. So if you search for them on Instagram at Black Book Fair, you'll get all the information you need in terms of time, location, who will be there. So yeah.
And I have his link. So what I'll do is I'll try to get the information before the end of the show, and I'll post that, or I'll post the link so that the patrons know where they could go and support these Black authors and support these platforms that are there to help push these authors to the next level. So Kabrina, I want to thank you for joining us today. Again, we've many times we see the front of the brand, we see what people put out there, but we don't get a chance to hear the behind the brand, hear the inspiration, the motivation behind some of the stories. So I definitely want to make sure that that you stay locked in. We want to invite you back on another episode as well because we have more questions and I know you have more answers as well. Can you let the masses know where to find you and if you have any last closing words for the audience?
Yes. So mostly where to find me: Instagram. I'm always active on Instagram, Facebook, Kabrina Crystal Robinson, or Instagram, Kabrina the Writer. Also on, X, formerly Twitter. To get used to that. At Kabrina Rob. You can get all the updates there. And final words, I just say if there is anything that, you have an idea, whether it's no matter how small, how long you've been sitting on it, just start. If you don't know how to, go online, type in what it is that you need to know, and I'm sure something will come up. You get some inspiration, and just don't be afraid. Don't hold yourself back, because I always find that the one thing that holds people back is themselves. Like if nothing holds you back, it's gonna be yourself.
It's gonna be yourself.
So the only thing preventing that idea that you have in your head from coming to life is you. You not going forward and you not acting on it. So whatever it is, just start. Just start. You won't regret it.
All right. Well, thank you for that information. And like I said, I'm gonna make a contact with the lady when she calls me, and I'm gonna put her in touch with you. And then again, you guys can talk from there in discussion. For all you know, maybe you might have a young apprentice, or your first employee, in the mix. So we'll see how that goes. I'll definitely pass that link. So again, Cabrina Robinson, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for the great vibes. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for staying locked into the network, because we love having you there. So thank you again,
Thank you.
and you have a
Appreciate
great
it.
night as well.
You too. Take care.
All right, people. So that was Cabrina Robinson of Eva Family Publishing. So we got to hear a little bit behind the brand. We got to focus on some of the whys, some of the who's, the what's, the where. So we're going to be back in 2 minutes with our next guest, Alexis Lee. So in the meantime, I want you guys to know about a couple things that we have going on. So as you guys know, I deal with graphic designing and printing. So if you guys need any flyers, business cards, banners, signage, anything like that, you can holler at Empro Graphics. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Graphic designing, printing, marketing, promotion, Empro Graphics is your source. Now, also, people, I want to let you guys know about the next event that we have coming up, November the 11th, November the 12th, December 10th. It's all about the 5th annual Durham Region Holiday Pop-Up Marketplace. Now, the response this year has been crazy from the shoppers, from the entrepreneurs. So we're looking to have a great time. I want you guys to make sure that you guys come out, support these local vendors, put some dollars aside. It's free admission. So we don't want to take any of your money. We want you to make sure you spend all that money on the local entrepreneurs. Also, if you're in the Ajax region, if you're in Pickering, if you're in Whitby, Ajax, and you're looking for that sleek cut, you want to get that fresh look for the weekend, check out Arthur's Hair Design and Barbershop, located at 40 Old Kingston Road in Ajax at the corner of Church and Highway 2. We got some fresh young barbers as well as the seasoned professionals there to make sure that you are looking your best. In addition to that, just a quick advance notice about the Funtastic Book Fair. The next edition will be happening for March break 2024. We had so much excitement, so much fun at the last event. We've turned it up a couple more notches. So we'll be back March 2024 for the March break edition of the Funtastic Book Fair. Also, people, if you're looking for that natural, fresh juices with these great flavors to choose from, cold pressed to give you the best, I want you to check out Natural Reset Juices. On Instagram, you can find them at Natural Reset Juices, or you can check out on the website, naturalresetjuices.ca. Now, we got 6 lovely flavors to tantalize your taste buds and much more. So check out Natural Reset Juices, because your body needs to reset naturally. So without further ado, I would like to bring on our next guest. Now, this lady, I met her, I believe it was last year or a year and a half ago. And since then, she's been locked into the network. The vibes have been great. She's very inspirational. She's motivational. And I've seen the progression of her brand and her business. So I don't want to tell you too much more, but I'd like to introduce to you Alexis Lee. Alexis,
Sir.
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
See, I can hear you nice and clear.
Okay.
So, Alexis, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I want to thank you for joining us on EPG Biz Talk Behind the Brand.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, so like I said, we see what people put out there. We see the products that they're promoting. We see what they post on social media, but we rarely get to take a step back behind the lens
Mhm.
and hear the whys they do this, hear the hows they do this. So that's what these shows are about. So again, I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to start at the basics.
All right.
Who is Alexis Lee?
Alexis Lee, or Alexi, is a published author and speaker. I am a traumatic brain injury survivor, so that's the basis of where everything is coming from. Uh, I would like to say that I am a firm believer in the gospel of Jesus, so that's very important for me, and I always like to put that out there. I'm fun loving. I love a good time, as you said. Energy, energy,
That's
energy. Yeah.
definite. All right. So you mentioned that you are a traumatic brain injury survivor,
Yeah.
and I often see you posting about TBI.
Yeah.
So what is TBI?
So that's short form for traumatic brain injury. Also, sometimes or more often known as a concussion. So it's any type of injury or damage to your brain.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that
Yeah.
concussion falls into that.
Yeah. It's big. It's a big deal. It's if you survive it, it's a lot to go through the healing process, and it's lengthy. It can be challenging, but I've come a long way. And it's a very, I would say, a sensitive topic because it's not an injury people can see.
All
So you
right, all right.
constantly have to be explaining different, if you have limitations or challenges or things like that. And it can be challenging, but I've chosen to make the best of it as long as my healing journey continues.
All right. So you told us who you are. You said you're a
Yes.
speaker and an author.
Yes.
You mentioned traumatic brain injury, so I asked you
Yes.
what was that about. So I'm gonna stay on the what's here. So Alexis, what do you actually do?
Well, I might just have a little copy right here.
And staying on the what's, what is that and what's it about?
This is a book. This is my memoir. It's called how do I hold on? There we go. Beauty for Ashes, memoir of a traumatic brain injury survivor. So this is my first published work. And what I do is bring awareness about what it's like to have this experience, because a lot of the material out there is by doctors, medical professionals, caregivers, and I didn't find much work from a survivor's perspective. So I wrote about what it's like to have a great life, lose everything, have to go through the medical system, the insurance companies, what it's like having these experiences being from the Caribbean, West Indian community. And that's another big piece of my why. And I guess we'll go to that, is to bring awareness to the West Indian Caribbean community, because it was very challenging for me going through this process and the different, I guess you would say, facets of the traumatic brain injury. And then my speaking, I go to engagements and bring awareness and speak about my experience as well.
So just to kind of touch on something that you mentioned as well, your experience as a Black woman in the hospital system.
Yes, sir.
Now my child's mother, my girlfriend, she's also in and out of the hospital with different things. She just recently had a hip surgery, so
Okay.
she because she's been in and out of the hospital as well. She often tells me the troubles she goes through as a Black woman, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we say to ourselves, Black women are so strong, right? Black women are so strong. I think when we put that pressure on you guys, it resonates and makes people think, oh, she's not really that sick because
Listen. Yeah. That was one of the things. So I experienced depression. And part of that was because I'm having these issues. So I'm a university graduate, and all of a sudden I can't spell my name. I can't write. My speech is slurring. My left side is like, I can't move my toes. I keep going to the hospital and they're telling me, oh, nothing's wrong with you. Excuse me. And like, I couldn't count money, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And I was made to feel like, you're making this up. And they actually, so when you hear this, a lot of people will understand. They actually told my family I lost my mind. So you imagine Jamaican people hearing all of this information. So I had to deal with all of that. And then on top of that, the insurance companies, you just want money. You're making this up. It was horrible, a very horrible experience. And so I would encourage people who have unfortunate circumstances where they need to be in and out of the medical system, or even with insurance companies, put it in your head that you're most likely going to have these encounters, these harsh and kind of these encounters that lack compassion and understanding.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense. So let me ask you a question. You mentioned that you got in an accident. Now, where did this accident happen? Was it in Toronto? Was it was it in Canada? It
was in Canada. Yeah. It was in Newmarket. So I used to work at the courthouse, and I was on my way to have a lovely burger for my lunch break. Listen to me. Hey, if anybody knows the Works burger, jeez, man.
Well, I know the restaurant, but I haven't had it, but I know the restaurant.
They have a burger called the Crappy Tire. I'm telling you guys, you need to get it. Anyhow, I'm on my way to get my Crappy Tire burger, and I just have this feeling, like this some people would say intuition. Put your phone in your purse and put the radio on the gospel station, because I was playing Ray Charles, Country Road, Take Me Home. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I did that, put my phone in the purse, changed the radio station. And then I think it couldn't be, I don't even know if it was 5 minutes. My car is like wrecked, dude. And then in that time, they took me to the hospital, no head scan. They only did x-rays on my hand because I had 2nd-degree burns. And yeah, I think it was like, not the next day or the day after or so, everything around me went black, and I felt like I was going to pass out. So my brother's fiance, took me to the urgent care center, and they were like, oh, it's just a little bit of a concussion. Mind you, I don't know what that is. I've never heard that term before. And they were like, oh, you'll be back to work over the weekend. Yeah, it's been years.
All right. So let me ask you another question.
Mm-hmm.
We know. So let me ask you one question that we're going to flip back. So okay. When did the accident happen? What year or what month?
2017. Summer 2017.
Okay. So when did you write the book?
Okay. I started writing the book, I want to say, I think it was like spring. I know it was the springtime of 2020, I think, or so, because I was published November 2021. So it would have been the spring before, because it took a while. Yeah.
So that was the when. So where did you get the inspiration from to actually write the book, to actually say, I'm going to do this?
Yep.
So where did that inspiration come from?
I don't even know if I want to use the word inspiration, because I was not having it. Jamal, you know, me and you talk. Not having it. First of all, I was in like the cusp of depression at the time, still struggling, personal support worker, people having to take care of me. I'm using a walker, and everyone around, like, well, not everyone, a lot of people around me were like, Lex, you really need to write about this. And I was getting annoyed, because I wonder if you people can't see I'm struggling with writing. We're going book. Like, and on top of that, I will say I was embarrassed about, yeah. Oh my God, Shiam Tree mush up. Because I lost everything. People left. There I am. Sometimes it's hard for me to speak. I'm using a walker. Like, I don't want to tell people about this.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from there, because again, just from my own personal experiences, there's we're very prideful people.
Yeah.
So even sometimes asking for help or going in public with the walker, or like you said, you're having struggles remembering things, I find that can be a hurdle as well.
Yeah. So what happened was because when you have a brain injury, light and sound can be a bit of a challenge. That's why when you have events, I'll be like, Jamal, put me far away from the speaker.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I couldn't go into the sanctuary, like into church, because of the sound and the lights. So my the lady that was taking care of me, I would say to her, could you find, just some type of sermon on YouTube? Listen to me. It didn't matter who she chose or what link. It was somebody supposed to write a book, start writing the book, write the book. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what?
Somebody's trying to tell you something here.
So I said, it was a day. I said, okay, so if I'm supposed to write the book, you need to help me, God, because clearly I'm not able to read and write properly. So I don't know how this is going to work. I was upset. And my mindset was, leave me alone. I'll do this. 5 people will buy it and I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. So then let's get to the next question then. So what has been the hardest part about not the accident, but the journey as an author, writing your book, planning? What has been the hardest part, and what has been the most refreshing or rewarding? So it's a 2-part question there.
Okay. So the hardest part is I'm very goal oriented, and I'm task oriented. And so when you have a brain injury, you constantly need rest, and sometimes you can't follow through. So that's the hard part for me, is I want to go, but then I also have to rest.
Yes.
So I have to space myself. So a project that could take, even writing an email, I still owe you an email. Simple thing. People who are watching, Jamal's still waiting for my email. And this was like, what, 2 weeks ago?
It was about a week and a half ago. But don't worry, I'm working with you, so don't worry. It's all good.
So, because your brain is responsible for everything, right? Thinking, speaking, seeing, hearing. So everything takes up energy. So for me to complete a task, it takes much longer. So that's the frustrating part for me. The refreshing part is I did not know how many people would be inspired or encouraged by my experience and my story. I've cried at times, just with people reaching out to me on Instagram and sending me messages, or even I'll be at events and people who would come and have already bought my book would come to me and say, oh, I read it. And so that part is refreshing for me, because I feel like it wasn't a waste. Although it's a horrendous experience, it wasn't for nothing.
Well, I in terms of the refreshing part, I can definitely co-sign that as well, because honestly, when I'm doing these events and different things like that, a lot of this comes out of just natural skill, that just because I know how to do this and I like helping people and doing all that. But then a lot of times you're going to get those entrepreneurs, those business people that come up to you and say, thank you for helping me. Thank you. Say to me like, yo, it was your event that I sold my first product in person.
Yeah.
And like you kind of take these things for granted. But then sometimes it's just like, trust me, even myself, sometimes I just sit and I'm like, I be telling my mom, I'm like, yo, mommy, you know how much this person said, this person told me I inspired them. This person told me that they watch my videos and things like that. So yeah, man, sometimes you gotta kind of take a second and be refreshed, with the things that you're doing.
But you do a good job. And let me tell the viewers something. The first event I did with Jamal, right? I showed up and he's so like focused. He had a clipboard and this man just walked straight past me. And I said, So I went to him, I said, hello. And he's like, oh, hello, what's your name? I said, Alexis Lee. He's like, okay. But let me tell you, Jamal's events are very helpful to entrepreneurs. So I will say thank you. I will say thank you. And I think I have before.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention people, she's thanked me already, so don't think that this is the first time. She's thanked me already. So, but no problem. Honestly, like just like you said, like I love seeing people care about their brand. I love seeing people flourish. I love people going to the next step. I love seeing people get excited about their business, because like that's how I am with my business and pushing my business and always promoting. So it gives me joy to see other people doing the same thing.
And let me just put this plug. Jamal did my most recent pull-up banner. It's good. So if you need a banner, and you also did some other business cards and some other, what's the
flyers,
bigger one?
The postcards.
Yeah, there's your plug.
All right. Okay, so Alexis, let me ask you another question, and this one is gonna kind of go for the people out there, right?
Okay.
So say if there's somebody else that has been through a traumatic experience, or a traumatic experience, an accident, anything like that. Why is it important to because you've mentioned that people have read your book and came and told you how they've been inspired. So why is it important to sometimes put your story out there to people?
We go back to what I said. You don't know who it's going to touch. You don't know who it's going to help. And your yes can be multiplied far beyond what you can think or imagine. And there are people who don't feel safe. There are people who don't feel seen. There are people who don't feel heard. And so if you share your story, they can feel a sense of validation, especially in trauma. And I find that West Indian people tend to shy away from the topic or even just dismiss it. Trauma is very real, and not everyone can just get over things. Yeah. And just because you live in foreign doesn't mean that you can't have a hard time, you can't have a struggle, you can't have a traumatic experience. So telling your story about what you've experienced gives people encouragement to identify this is a problem, and even I need help. Where can I get help? How can I get help?
All right. Well, thank you for that good advice. Now, that's going to bring me to my next question. As a traumatic brain injury survivor, as an author, as a speaker who's trying to use their message to kind of inspire others, motivate others, and as someone who's trying to, push their book as furthest as possible, how do you manage all that as a TBI survivor? Like,
it can be
how
a
do
lot.
You do it?
It can be a lot sometimes because you have to be punctual with correspondence. And then when people also message me, for example, like folks who want to say thank you for sharing your story and whatnot, you don't want to be waiting 2-3 days to acknowledge them. But to be honest, when you have a TBI, screen time is horrible for you. If you don't sleep properly, the littlest thing can take your entire energy. So it's a lot to balance, but by the grace of God, I'm here and I do my best. I think what I would say is if anyone is watching who has a TBI or knows someone who does, scheduling is your best friend. Get a planner, an agenda, and pen everything out.
Pen everything down so you can space your time out.
Absolutely. Because when you have it all in your head, it can be very overwhelming and then you get anxious. So as going back to your question, it can be a lot, but I'm learning how to manage it. And then I also communicate with people. For example, you, Jamal, I'll let you know these are some of the issues that I struggle with, and I'm asking if you can accommodate me, right? So that's how I navigate the process as a business owner.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question. So how has it been since you have become a business owner, and since you've kind of figured out certain ways to navigate? You're not shy about saying that you need accommodations. You're not shy about about putting yourself out there in interviews and talking about your story. So how has that changed you, or how has that been for you?
It's different because I'm sociable. I'm not a social butterfly. No, I like my corner. I like my pastry and my cup of tea. So to put myself out there as much as I have been, it's a lot for me. Especially that my page is not private. Sus peace. Let me tell you, someone said to me at an event, Lexi, you need to take your page off private. Miss Sweat, so till I was like,
now listen, imagine people, she has her page on private, but she's selling a book worldwide.
I did. Listen, it's learning, right? How is it? So that part, that piece has changed for me, and I'm adjusting. I'm still adjusting to it. And just allowing people in my space has been an adjustment for me. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip back to the what, right? Mm-hmm. So what does Alexis do for fun or to relieve stress, or when you need that break? What's your go-to activity or place or whatever it is?
Okay, so I'm hoping to get back into traveling. Is that proper grammar?
Yep.
Okay, because I was a big traveler before the accident. But now I love nature. I'm big for going on walks. I've always loved that. I've always loved poetry. I like, I'm not really a busybody kind of, I like quiet
tranquility.
Yeah. Or I like to I'll tell you this, I like to go to those Instagram restaurants. Yes, okay. I will say that. I like getting dressed up. I like going to the city, having one of those overpriced meals.
Those overpriced meals with the fancy drink.
Me. It's what makes you happy. And right, I love laughter.
Well, you're always telling jokes and you're always smiling. So I know you have a good vibe there. Now, you mentioned that you like to travel, right?
Yes.
So where has been your most favorite place that you've been so far, and where is the next place that you would hope to go?
Okay, so I have three. My three number ones: Paris, and then because I loved the art.
Yeah, because if you're gonna give three number ones, you have to tell us why you like each number one.
Yes. So I love the history in Paris, and I went there for my first pair of red bottoms. Okay, and then, do we have time for me to tell you the story?
Go ahead, let's go.
So when I was working at court, anyone who went to Europe, I would buy their euros and pounds dollar for dollar. And so I knew I wanted these, and I was like, okay, how am I gonna pace myself to get this, right? So I put on my money, piece. So I went to the Louboutin boutique, and when they told me the price, I had all my money in like a hairpin. I separated.
Probably like, yo, excuse me, miss.
If you saw the look they gave me, I had no shame, none. I put it down on the counter. Please to put my shoes in the bag.
All right, so let me go to it. Let me go to our quick how. How much did it cost?
You don't worry about that.
All right. So spot number 2. Spot number 1B, and why?
Okay. 1B is Aruba.
Okay. So I never been to Paris and I never been to Aruba.
Okay. Aruba.
So tell me why I need to go there.
It's very quiet, but it has its little upbeat kind of side, and the beaches are beautiful. And then that's all I have to say about that. It just looks good.
All right. So what's your third number one? Let me see if it's somewhere I've been.
I hope so. Puerto Rico.
I've been to Puerto Rico.
Well, there you go. Okay, tell me what you liked about it.
Well, obviously I like the weather.
Okay,
and me, like I'm when I go places, I like to go like I don't like to stay in the tourist side of things. I like to go like in the town. Yeah. So I like the vibe and the people and just the energy. So I was only there for like 2 days because it was a cruise. Okay.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I like the vibe, the energy, the people.
Yeah. The food. Woo, the food.
Well,
Yeah.
the food is good.
Yeah.
My food is limited when I go on vacations, but I can't even remember the food, to be honest with you. But I remember the vibes and the energy
Yeah,
more
yeah,
than the
yeah.
food.
That's why I liked it. Yeah.
All right. So
And that's it.
which one of those was the most recent that you've been to?
I think it would have been Aruba.
Aruba. Okay. So where is the next place you want to go to or plan to?
Man, I tell you what, I want to go to Italy just to eat food.
Yeah. Well, they say Italy and France too, right? They say it's
Yeah.
two totally food experiences that you need to have.
Yeah. So if they ask me on my declaration card, purpose of travel, to eat and get fat.
Oh man. Okay, so let me ask you another question.
Yes.
What is your next book going to be about?
You know, you had something else where you asked this question. It would be about the continuation of my journey. I think I started it and I kind of left people on a cliffhanger. So I would continue with the journey.
You continue the journey?
Yeah, I would continue the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue to inspire and encourage people. That's what it would be about.
All right, let me take a look here. So you said, what were you doing before you wrote? You said you worked in a courthouse?
Yeah, so I supervised people on bail.
Oh, well, all right.
I did that for over 10 years. And then I also worked at a women's shelter, women who were fleeing abuse, women and children. So I did that. Well, I worked both jobs at the same time.
So what's next for Alexis Lee?
My goal is to have more speaking engagements, broaden my spectrum to see kind of where else I can get my feelers.
I seen you on doing an interview the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about what was going on there?
Well, listen to me. Your girl went Latin.
I know. So tell us about it.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I was on a show. It's a Latin show called Adelante. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And it's a Spanish speaking show. And I was on there speaking English and at the end Spanglish.
So you can speak Spanish?
Not anymore. That part it's very challenging and I don't remember a lot. So it's just basic for me. Just basic. Yeah. But that was very exciting for me because I did not at any time expect my memoir to make it to Latin land.
So they contacted you?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you see why it's important, people, to put yourself out there because again, you never know who is listening.
Actually, I met the lady and we ended up just talking and then she reached out to me to be on her show.
So what do you have coming up next, you said?
Well, holiday market with yours truly, Mr. Jamal.
And Alexis is locked in for November and December, people. So make sure you come check her out. This is what I want you guys to do. I figured out a little strategy for them. So they come November the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Purchase the book.
Yes.
Right? Then they come December the 10th.
Yes.
To give you the feedback.
I'm telling you. And then you come and get another book.
You buy one to give to somebody for Christmas. See, we got a little strategy planned out here.
There we go. And then this Saturday, actually, I was accepted in the Vaughan Public Library, so I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there this Saturday.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I'll be there this Saturday. At the local authors showcase.
So, in addition to that, people, remember This is the same lady who had her page on private and don't want to take the page on private, but she's in the library.
I'm telling
She's
you.
on Spanish TV. She had her books in Los Angeles. You know what I
Listen
mean?
to
So
me. Yes. You know, I can literally say Google me.
you know what I mean? So keep your page off private, please. Please.
It's off. It's off private. It's off. It's off. Listen, I don't have, like, for me, it's a lot of followers compared to like when I had my private account. But it, like, compared to your account, it's small. But I have like just under 300 followers. And when I saw the numbers rising, I was like, oh.
Like, oh, excuse me. Okay. That's me.
I
That's
felt
me.
nice.
Oh man. Okay, so let me ask you a question. You touched on earlier. You said if you write a next book, it's going to be about the continuation of the journey, right?
Yeah.
So is this, knowing that, are you making notes along the way in preparation for when you think it's ready, or are you just going to at a point say, all right, let me start writing now? Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know if I'm asking too much info.
Well, where are you? What island are you from again?
My background is Trinidadian.
Trinidadian. Do Trini people say Tom drunk, Tom no fool?
No, not
because
that I know.
I said, if here Jamal, oh, when and what are you? You think I didn't catch on? Don't make the brain injury fool you.
She's quick.
So what I would talk about is what it's like, because I'll let folks know I've lost friendships, and I talk about that in this book. Obviously my career, my cognitive abilities, things like what it was like to experience depression and work through that, going through therapy. So I would encourage people with maybe where I am now, and further encourage them if they're still struggling with different things.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So you have any advice to give anybody out there that might be either on someone thinking of writing a book or starting a business? Because essentially you started a business, right?
Yes.
You took your personal story, put it in a book, and now you're trying to, not to say monetize it, but you're trying to put it out there and make some money along the way. So do you have any words for any young entrepreneurs, thriving entrepreneurs, or anybody watching this that just needs some info?
I do. You know what I would say to you is, don't give up. I would say find people with wisdom to mentor you. And I would say, don't share your dreams and your goals with everyone. Some things you need to keep it to yourself.
Very true.
Until it fully comes to birth. And pace yourself. Be kind to yourself. If you try and people are laughing at you, people are mocking you, people won't support you, you keep going. Because once it lifts up off the ground, those same people are going to come back. And that's from experience. So don't give up. Keep trying. Use your resources. And keep people who are wise around you. That's what I would say.
Well, I think that is great advice for the massive. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you for taking the time and the energy to be on the show today, and to, again, share your stories with the masses and me, and to let people know a little bit behind the brand. Now, we talked about the book. We talked about the whys. We talked about some of the other stories. One more quick question that I want to ask is, where did the name come from, The Beauty for Ashes?
Okay, so Beauty for Ashes is actually part of a scripture, Isaiah 61 verse 3 in the Bible, where it says, I will give you beauty for ashes, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, right? And so on. So I just kept seeing it everywhere. I didn't have any prior memory about that scripture, but everywhere I looked, it was Beauty for Ashes.
Drawn to you.
So I said, okay, I guess that's the book's name. But I would like to say for those who are interested in purchasing, you would have to type my name and the title, because there's another author named Joyce Meyer, and her book is like really big, named Beauty for Ashes. So you might have to do a little more typing, like more typing than Beauty for Ashes. You'd have to put my name in there as well. And there's a subtitle, Memoir of a Traumatic Brain Injury Survivor.
All right, Alexis. Well, I definitely want to thank you again for taking your time to come on the show, for letting the masses know a little bit behind the brand, behind the Beauty for Ashes, behind the book, and letting them know your story. Because again, I think these inspirational stories, these real life stories are important, because just hearing these stories and hearing that some of the stuff you went through and some of the hurdles you overcome might be what one of the listeners just needed to hear for them to go register their business tomorrow morning. Right. So it happens just like that. We all come to that moment where we're like, you know what? I'm going to take the jump and I'm going to do this. So again, thank you for taking the time. And can you let anybody know where to find you if they want to contact you for speaking engagement, interviews, or if they want to purchase your book?
Sure. So my non-private Instagram account excuse me, is at thebeauty.forashes. I don't have Facebook. My website is www.thankfullee, so THANKFULLEE.com. And then you can find my contact information on my website as well. And then for purchase of Beauty for Ashes, memoir, and your major platforms for books.
Oh, all right, perfect.
Amazon, sorry.
And Amazon.
Yeah.
So also, people, we have her book up on our website as well at fantasticbookfair.com. So if you guys can also look on there, browse. If you click the link, it'll take you directly to her website where you can purchase the book. So make sure you come check it out online. Add up the Beauty for Ashes on Instagram. And more than that, make sure you come out on November the 11th to the holiday pop-up, and you can come and meet Alexis in person, and you can get some of that good energy, because Alexis is always a good vibe. So thank you again for taking your time, Alexis.
Thank you, sir.
And we hope to have you back on another episode as well.
Absolutely. Please. And I'll send the email.
Yeah, when you're ready. I'll remind you. If I don't see it, I'll remind you in a couple of days. Don't worry. All right. Bless up yourself.
Okay.
All right, people. That was Alexis Lee, author and speaker. Earlier, we heard from Cabrina Robinson from Eva Michelle Family Publishing. I want to thank these beautiful guests that came on today. I just want to show you guys who we had again, just so you can remember. We have Cabrina Robinson from Eva Michelle and Family Publishing, and we just spoke with Alexis Lee, author and speaker, author of The Beauty for Ashes, where she talks about her journey as a TBI survivor, traumatic brain injury survivor. So if you're a young author, if you're an aspiring author, if you're looking to get your book out there and you don't know where to start, you can hit up Cabrina Robinson, and she can help you from the beginning stages all the way to the end of publishing your book. Next week, people, we will have my brother, Justin, my good brother who attends the events as well, Justin from Goss Debbie. He's going to be talking about his journey, his entrepreneurial path, and he's going to be talking about some of the things that kept him going along his journey. Again, people, this is the EPG Biz Talk, and we're taking you behind the brand. A lot of times you see these entrepreneurs out there at events, on road, doing different things, but we rarely get to hear the whys. We rarely get to hear the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, and the how's. So that's what we're going to be doing weekly. As you can see from this beautiful ad, we're going to have in-depth conversations with some of the city's most emerging entrepreneurs. So if you got a business, if you got a brand, and you want to be on the show, make sure you hit us up at epx.com, or you could check us out on Instagram. And yeah, we can send you the link and we'll schedule the date. Just to give you a hint on some upcoming events, look out for the 5th annual Durham Region Holiday Pop-Up Marketplace. This year, we have 3 days full of local holiday shopping, great entertainment, and much more. So you can check us out on Saturday, November the 11th, Sunday, November 12th, and Sunday, December 10th, all taking place at the Ajax Community Center. After that, moving into 2024, just to give you guys some early notice, we have the Funtastic Book Fair happening March break 2024. Now, if you were at the last event, you would have witnessed how the event has been elevating to new levels. We recently had a youth book fair where we had lots of interactive youths. Everybody was having a great time. So look out for the next edition happening March break. Look out for Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. We have the new edition, next year's edition of Lively Up Yourself. This is a one night only special event. It's a shopper's market. We have complimentary appetizers. We have free parking and a 19 plus after party. It's an evening of roots, rock, and reggae and more great vibes. And of course, on February the 6th, you know, the whole theme is that we are celebrating the birthday of Robert Nesta Marley. This was supposed to be a one-time event last year, but the vibe was so great, we decided to bring it back again. Now, if you're in the Ajax community, if you're in Durham region, East Scarborough, and you're looking for that fresh cut for the weekend, you can give us a link at Arthur's Hair Design and Barbershop, located where? At 40 Old Kingston Road, Unit 212. We have a Tuesday special where we're offering 25% discount to seniors. We have student specials on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays where you can get $10 lineups between 4 to 6 p.m. And contact us early to get your hands on the new VIP discount card available at Arthur's Hair Design, now open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on a weekly basis. And people, everybody is all about health nowadays. Everybody is about eating healthy, exercising, drinking healthy, right? So we have for you Natural Reset Juices Inc. If you've been to any of the recent pop-ups, you may have sampled some of the great flavors already. We have 6 unique flavors to help tantalize your taste buds. So make sure you check out naturalresetjuices.ca for the things you need. And people, we always got to remember, don't just believe there's good in the world. You got to be the good in the world. This is Jawig's All About the Biz. You know what it is. This is the EPG Biz Talk Live behind the brand. I want to shout out all the people that tuned in today on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. I want you guys to make sure you hit that follow button, hit that like and subscribe button, and tune in next week where EPG will take you behind the brand.